Dynamite download.
AEW 2020, John Silver.
Special event, as you can see, SPD.
For a smashing good time. January recruitment month.
I come along, I come along in the ring.
I mean, I would not want to hear that. I would not
Welcome to Dynamite Download. Welcome, everybody, to Dynamite Download, episode 23. My name is SPD, and we are joined by Bonds over there.
Hey, guys.
You're not seeing Crayfish's beautiful face. He is unfortunately feeling under the weather, so we got booking by Bonds, our resident writer on AEW Dynamite Download.com, filling in for him tonight on our episode. It's going to be a great one. We are coming off the heels of a massive AEW Dynamite, and this show was absolutely through the roof. So we're going to dive right into it. This is Dynamite Download, your home for all positive coverage of all elite wrestling. And we had a jam-packed show, to say the least. Last week early on, Crayfish and I were there live, and they started announcing a few of the matches, and we're like, okay, yes, these could be good matches. But then they slowly but surely started filling the card. I mean, right here, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 different segments just announced, and then there was a couple other ones, scattered in there. And this was, I still got my hair on my arms kind of on sticking up because of how intense this whole card was, for sure. Yeah, the main event, man, that was absolutely amazing. But I'm going to throw up the match results of just the matches, and we'll dive right into breaking down each little segment and match for sure. So the first match of the night, we saw, Ryan Nemeth, the Hollywood Hunk, take on the former champ, Jon Moxley, and Moxley defeated him, with ease as expected. But it was a nice match to watch for sure.
It was a great match. We got to see Jon Moxley, do his thing, so that was pretty great. And Nemeth sold so well. It was a great squash for that early on. And then the second match, we got to see, Brian Cage and Ricky Starks go in there against the young Varsity Blondes, and those guys are talented. But man, it's hard to best Cage and Starks. Man, those guys are always on point.
It was fun to see them in the ring for sure, after weeks and weeks of, cutting promos. We've been seeing a little bit of Cage here and there on Dark and stuff, but they really definitely put a beating. It was an entertaining tag match for sure. Next up, we had part of the Inner Circle, Jake Hager, defeating Brandon Cutler, making his Dynamite return after last seen on Dynamite on TV since 2019. And a little back and forth, quick match, but the bigger story was after it, definitely, for sure, that we're going to be talking about.
Oh, yeah, we'll definitely touch on that one for sure. And then we got to see Hangman Page go up against Isaiah Cassidy, which was a great match. Those are two top competitors. And we saw some interference in that match as well. So there's a lot of cool stuff that's kind of showing what Hardy's doing and what Hangman's doing in Dark Order. Everybody's kind of getting involved, and it's really interesting.
I can't wait for how this is being drawn out with the Dark Order and Private Party and now TH2. It's some great stuff for sure. And probably the biggest surprise of the night. I mean, granted, this could go both ways, and this could have been a main event on any level. Nyla Rose, ex-champ, versus the face of the women's division, Britt Baker. And surprisingly, all of us here at Dynamite Download are really big on Britt Baker, and we were hoping for her to go all the way and ultimately take the gold from Shida. But Nyla Rose put down Britt Baker in an impressive, dominating fashion for sure.
Yeah, that was a very shocking match. Nyla Rose looked great. And then to follow that up, though, we got to see Lance Archer defeat Rey Fenix in a match that's probably a match of the year candidate. And that's going to be on, I'm sure, one of our lists next year when we do our match of the year. That I'm sure that'll be up there on our list. So it was a great ending to the show.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to talk about the main event. But we'll first talk about the Moxley and the Nemeth match and the Hollywood Hunk. And this was a good way to start the show. I mean, how could you not get things fired up with Justin Roberts announcing Jon Moxley? I mean, his entrance announcing it's so fun and it's so great.
Oh, it's great.
But I really liked how the announce team did a good job. First off, I liked how Nemeth kind of got a little quick 10-15 second promo. They're giving, they're establishing more. I mean, he's been in the ring with so many great guys already. I mean, Moxley now and then Pac. And I mean, he's falling short, but he's showing that he can hang. And they're clearly see something in him. He was on Impact with the rest of the squad, the rest of the AEW squad last night with that little promo. He's had parts on Road 2. He's had different, and then this and sharing the ring. He had a win over Marco Stunt on Dark. But I liked it, and so the announcers were building this match with a little bit of backstory and kind of more meaning behind it, which was nice. But Mox, ultimately just put a whooping on him as he should, and lights out for Nemeth.
Yeah, it was a good match, though. I think that you're right. Nemeth can really hold his own in the ring, and he's showing that with a lot of different opponents. He's showing that he can kind of hang with anybody, which is, he's going to be a guy that's going to surprise people down the line. I feel like he's really showing some stuff early in his AEW tenure, because we have to remember he just debuted a few weeks ago, and he's showing a lot.
He's very fresh with AEW.
Yeah, definitely.
What did you think about after the match? How Moxley cut the promo. The promo almost was as long as the match itself, which was, I mean, it had me hooked and it had my attention the whole time, as Moxley always does. So what do you think of his promo?
Man, Moxley can, like you said, he holds your attention every time he has the microphone. You could have a 2-hour show of him just cutting a promo, and I feel like it'd be entertaining. He maybe not for everybody, but I think it's awesome. He just he goes out there, and everything he says is very, very real, and you can just tell that he cares about the business. And he showed that tonight. He said that wrestling is his addiction, and that was such a powerful moment, because you can just tell that he means it. You don't become a wrestler and go through the things he's gone through in his career if you don't love doing it. And the fact that he's going to have this main event with Kenny Omega, where they're both going to put their bodies through hell. You have to love the business. And I think that this match is the match that he's going to have is going to show, man, that this guy gives it his all every time. And he's the guy. Yeah, that's why he's the guy in AEW, frankly.
He is, and he hasn't missed a beat essentially since dropping the title, and it's fun to have him back. Still in the main event hunt, as he should. He's a main event guy and always will be a main event guy. But overall, for the match, I'm going to grade this as a match plus a segment. Yeah. I'm going to give it an elite for that aspect. The match still had all my attention the whole time, as always. And Nemeth, like you said, I think they have something in him. I think that they're going to have some a nice heel on their hands that can really create some good heat for a nice baby face. Yep. And Moxley really just that passionate, heartfelt promo about, and then how he just kind of is hyping up the pay-per-view, hyping up the match. He's like, what do you hear, or what comes to your mind when you hear exploding barbed wire death match? And essentially it's like all or nothing for him. So I'm giving it an elite for the match plus segment, which I don't usually rate that way. I'm usually rating the matches, but I want to combine this one together. So what about you? Elite or delete for this match and segment?
It was an elite for me as well. I think that I would grade it as one whole segment. Because it was really tied together. This was a tied together thing. The promo and the match were kind of a hype for the pay-per-view. In my opinion, you got to see what the destruction that Moxley can do, even without the barbed wire and the explosions and the death match. And then you got to see him talk about it. It was just a really entertaining opener to the show, just in general, because that was the whole opener. And it was entertaining the entire time, and it earned an elite on both ends.
Absolutely. And as we shifted to the next match, we had Team Taz back in the ring. We had Brian Cage, the Machine, and Ricky Starks, which I'm really high on. I think he is an absolute superstar. And we both picked, it could be should be a TNT champion down the line versus Varsity Blondes, which we talked to Griff Garrison a few weeks ago on our show with our interview. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you check it out. It's great. Right before their match versus the Inner Circle. And now they're sharing the ring again with two absolute superstars with Brian Cage and Ricky Starks. And these Varsity Blondes are really starting to take off. I mean, honestly, they got the look, they got the matching trunks, they got some charisma, and they put up a good fight against Team Taz, but ultimately, they're no match for them at this point of their stage. Not for yet. Sure. But they got the world, so much upside to them. Absolutely. So what do you think about this match overall?
I think this is another good match. I think that Cage and Starks are great. They're both great, and they're great paired together because they're very different wrestlers. They have very different styles. And I think that Garrison and Pillman have different styles as well. So they're all kind of this mix of different styles of wrestlers together in this ring, and they're all just really talented guys in general. So you have 4 talented individuals, and one's in my favorite stable in wrestling right now, and they're just dominant. And then you have, Varsity Blondes, who they're both really young, and Pillman's obviously got the namesake, and Garrison's a guy that people think he's gonna be a star, and he shows it every time he's in there, and you can kind of see it. And I think that Pillman looked great tonight too. In a lot of ways, he had a lot of he took a lot of offense tonight, but he also brought it. So there was a lot from both sides, and we got this. We know that it was probably going to be a Team Taz victory here, but I think that it was an earned victory, and it's definitely an elite for me as well.
Yeah, this was this had more to it. Granted, you can kind of feel like something was going to happen. If anytime Taz shows up, they're not going to just walk away with a clean win, especially been what's going on with Darby and Sting, and we saw that afterwards. But this match, still, you're going to be talking about the match. Unlike, let's say, Moxley and Nemeth, we're not going to, not necessarily talking about the match itself. We're going to talk about what Mox said afterwards shenanigans. And same thing, what happened a little bit later with Hager and Cutler. What happened afterwards was more important or more meaningful or memorable than what happened inside the ring. But this I think inside the ring was a lot to talk about. I mean, you saw first off, Taz on commentary is always gold, which we always love him on Dark, but adding him on there should be full time in my opinion. Cage had that power bomb of Pillman against the post that looked a little bit brutal, and the way he landed kind of on the corner of the steps.
That was a nasty spot.
It was a nasty spot, but the young Varsity Blondes had some great high spots for sure. And I loved when Griff went on a run, and then you see that big frog splash over the top rope to the outside. That was some new stuff we haven't seen from him yet on TV, which is awesome. But ultimately, who better than Brian Cage to put him out, with the rope. Yeah. So
this was the end.
Oh gosh, man. He's so strong. He is so smooth. He's such a professional too. Cage is his athleticism is outstanding, and Ricky Starks just exudes star power for sure. This one is, if I'm just the match itself, I'm definitely giving it an elite because this was entertaining. This was fast paced, and everything you really want in a tag match in AEW. Lived up to that, and I enjoyed it. But Let's focus on what happened after the match because that's a completely different thing, and that was really interesting as well. Oh my gosh! I mean, we heard the announcements of Sting. He wants payback for what they did to him last week, where he getting powerbombed by the Machine, and what aspect of what kind of payback we were getting. We kind of brainstormed. We were not, thinking about this back and forth last week's show and before the show, what Sting could do as retribution. And it was going to be more of like, since we didn't see Starks or Hobbs last week, we thought maybe we would have seen some kind of backstage beatdown from Sting, but we didn't get that. Sting was the one that was getting beat down. But this week, the roles were reversed, and you saw Stinger finally get really physical for the first time. And that was absolutely awesome. The first time I got to see the Stinger splash, and he really was – I think he was clearing house and whooping ass for sure. It was a lot of fun to see him, and I think he's ready for the match. He looked good. I mean, yes, he's not going to be putting in 10, 15 minutes in the ring nonstop as a singles, but for his age, that was quite a impressive outing in that segment.
Oh yeah, he looked great. I agree. And I think the segment itself was really interesting. He brought it back when they abducted Darby and had him in his body.
Yeah, that was funny.
The hook.
That was great.
Oh yeah, I didn't really think. I was like, oh man, what's he doing here? And then I see hooks, and I was like, oh, that's good. That was a really good idea, and that was really interesting. Like what a good way to get into Taz's head, because as soon as he saw that it was Hook in there, Taz jumped out of commentary and was helping Hook out. He wasn't even focused on his team. He wasn't focused on Ricky Starks and Brian Cage. He was just focused on his son. So now, Sting got in Taz's head, which is kind of been what Taz has been doing for the last few weeks or months, even now with Darby and Sting. So It's really this is another elite. This whole segment it was an elite, but the end was just separate thing was an elite too, because it was really entertaining. This is the most we got to see out of Sting since he's been back. Just in general, and he looked great tonight. He looked 20 years younger tonight, and he looked. Nobody's going to be worrying about him being able to take bumps anymore. I don't think. I think he kind of showed tonight, hey, I can still go. I'm still Sting, and it was really good. It was really entertaining.
Yeah, a lot of announcers did a great job with really kind of saying how everyone was concerned about Sting. But yeah, he showed that. He's ready for a fight for sure. And, nice how much to Sting with Darby coming through the rafters. And, that was cool. There were some rumors and stuff on that. Sting maybe doing that, but it worked perfect for Darby to really show face back on AEW Dynamite. Just, it was so well done. I have a feeling, there's so many smart minds involved in this feud. You have Taz, a complete veteran, and Sting and Darby, the creative geniuses, I'm sure, going around in there, just have millions of ideas. And then you throw in a veteran like Cage and Starks, who just exudes star power. They are smart. They're booking this smart. We talked about this a few weeks ago. It seemed like their segments on Dynamite were maybe getting a little repetitive, for some people. And
running out of steam a little bit.
Yeah. Finally, 3 weeks, when they did the body bag abduction, that really sparked things. And last week we saw a physical. Now we're seeing a physical even more this week. So it's reigniting a bigger buzz to the match that was announced so long ago. It seems like it was announced so long ago. And it's easy for a fuse to fizzle when it's announced that far. But now I'm more excited more than ever for this match.
Definitely. I look back at it was the same way, man. I was worried that it was going to lose steam, and I feel like them waiting to get them physical in the ring made it kind of push, and that was really smart in the long run. I didn't know what they were doing at the time, but I see it now, and it made sense.
Total sense. Now that you're saying it, you don't want to rush it, because if they start getting physical, then what?
Right.
It just It was smart play, and I think they're gonna do an outstanding job with the cinematic match. And speaking of a new match, which we kind of saw the writing in this that was going to be announced, but I guess it was officially announced later in the show. But we had this segment with Miro, Kip Sabian, and Penelope Ford, where essentially the best friends were sending a love letter. Do you like me? Yes, no, maybe so, for a match at Revolution. Miro was probably definitely the standout of this segment,
definitely.
As he is. He's such a smooth talker, and you're very, very high on Miro, and how he was rooting for Charles. He liked Charles. Yeah. Charles is a good guy. He wanted him to come back, and he wants him to be a man and not a child like Orange Cassidy. And so this is a nice, a nice promo, kind of change of pace from what we've seen in the past from this, after kind of the silliness of the wedding shenanigans. But Miro and Kip Sabian versus the best friends is going to be a hard-hitting, fun match. But how do you see it playing out with that?
It's going to be tough. I like that Miro was the straight man in this segment. I prefer him when he's being serious. I think kind of plays better off to how he is in the ring as well. Right. So I like that they're kind of, okay, he's the straight man now in this, and he's kind of frustrated with Charles, and it's, it's going to be interesting. But I think that you kind of have to give a win, because I would say that Orange Cassidy and Charles, they kind of picked up a win during the wedding. So if you want to book this the certain way and continue this, then you have to have Kip and you have to have Miro win at Revolution. Just if you want to continue the feud. If not, then I guess have them lose. But it's because then you're having two in a row for Orange Cassidy and Charles. But I think that what they're doing with it, I hope they put Charles back in that group. That'd be interesting. I liked him as a Butler. I think he was great. He was really funny.
The only way to further this feud, I agree, would be to have Charles go back in this.
Yeah.
but I personally, I'm ready for this one to kind of fizzle out.
Something
It's
different.
it lose a little bit. It has lost some steam for me personally, but it's going to, and I think it's going to lead to an outstanding match. We
Yeah,
saw Orange Cassidy in the ring for the first time last week and of all of 2021, and so now we're going to see him again in a couple weeks, in a week and a
week and a
half
half now.
for the Revolution. It's fastly approaching. I can't believe how fast it's approaching.
Right?
So if that's a win for sure.
Oh
He
yeah,
was, in 2020 was probably the hottest babyface of the whole company, and hopefully this feud and this match will kind of reignite that, and that's only a win-win for everybody for sure.
definitely.
The Speaking of like reigniting, we had Jake Hager back in the ring, and we had Brandon Cutler, which, like I said earlier, was making his Dynamite re-debut since 2019. He does a lot of stuff with BTE. He's been in a lot of feuds in AEW Dark, and he's going after bigger guys than him. And first off, I thought Cutler's entrance was awesome, man. I loved his
Yeah,
entrance.
it was
His
really
music,
cool.
his pyro, and all that, and his in-ring stuff, man. He had some nice high-flying moves. Granted, he's best friends with the Bucks, so I'm sure that a little of those awesome moves are rubbing off on him for sure. But he impressed me, and he held his ground for a little while. But ultimately, Hager is so strong and dominant, and it was just a matter of time before the overpowering came in with a massive clothesline to really put a nail in the coffin for that. The match. What do you think of the match?
Again, it was kind of one-sided to a point. I think
Yeah.
Cutler early on looked like he went after him a little bit early, and then Hager just kind of ended it quick. Once he got like a hold of him, he was just kind of done.
Right.
It was an entertaining match. It made Hager look really strong, and I want to see more of Brandon Cutler, maybe against somebody that's not Jake Hager. That's huge like that. I'd like to see more. It was a nice little
Yeah,
hint of
for
what he
sure.
is. And it also showed, man, Hager's, we don't see a lot of Hager in the ring. So it was a nice reminder of how dominant he can be.
For sure. And that's good because, I was at the Dynamite on January 6th, and that was the last time Hager and Wardlow were both in the ring. And so Hager does deserve more. We saw him have an awesome battle with Wardlow then, and his physicality and his dominance is so fun to watch.
Yeah.
But this match overall, even though it did make Jake look like an absolute beast, it wasn't given enough time for me, enough story. And I love a storytelling. So unfortunately, the match will get delete just for match purposes. And you said you agree.
I
But
agree. It was a delete, but I think that it did show some stuff for Cutler and Hager, but I do wish it ran a little longer. I wish it was a little bit more. We got to see a little bit more offense from Cutler.
Right.
I wish we had a little bit of that because, especially after he had such a cool kind of reemergence last week, and then to just have him kind of get smoked really quick in a match against Hager, it was just kind of like, oh man, like wish we'd have seen a little bit more before that was over. Especially because, like you said, we haven't seen him since 2019 on television. So,
yeah, I think Cutler deserved more time, and this match deserved a little bit more time. But I mean, it made sense because this is essentially leading up to the story that we're seeing. We saw Jericho. I could kind of tell something was up earlier on when we saw the Young Bucks walking by their truck, which they did this on BTE outside, but they kept looking at their stuff, and the old Papa Buck kept looking at it and like, okay. And then I was like, something's gonna be up. Why are they looking at this truck a little bit too much? But it was done so well. Jericho's an absolute superstar. He's an absolute professional, and MJF, those two guys are pure gold at anything they do. And this was some may say it was cheesy in a way, but it was perfect to me. I think it was, just slapping the blood on one's face and slapping the blood on another, beating up Papa Buck. It was very well played. It was hilarious not to see someone hurt, but the chemistry between MJF and Jericho was great. So this is really, putting the gas pedal down full throttle with this match is making it even more exciting. What did you think of the post-match shenanigans?
It was pretty funny, really entertaining. And it's not funny to see somebody get whooped on, but you kind of knew something was coming after last week. They even said, hey, Papa Buck, something's coming for you. You're here. And he was here and something happened. So it was Chris Jericho being his great heel self the whole time. He's just screaming at the camera, just oozing it all up, and MJF as well. And man, and you could tell like, hey, it was very interesting because there was two completely different tones. From the Young Bucks, they were concerned. Obviously, it's their father getting attacked. But then Jericho and MJF are just enjoying it so much, and they're so into the character and into the being heels, and just like, hey, I'm gonna get you, Papa Buck. You can't get us. And then afterwards, just when they're messing with Matt, when he's trying to chase them out of there, and they're like, hey, it's Matt Jackson, let's get out of here, and they're running away in the car. Oh, it's just so entertaining. And you can just tell, like, man, the pairing of Jericho and MJF is gold every week. I
hope it doesn't end anytime soon. Please give us more and more of this. Is so great for sure.
Yeah, but an elite. It was an elite segment for sure.
Oh, absolutely, definitely. This was a gold segment in my opinion, and what's going to be even more entertaining next week is the press conference that they're going to hold. And I wish we were there live so we could just scream at MJF right in his face so he can just get even more pissed off and just say whatever's on his mind. So this is great lead up, and we're gonna see even more of a build next week for sure on that.
I'm excited for the match now. I'm more excited. We're gonna see some personal stuff now. It's this completely changed the game
now that Papa Buck's involved. It's definitely getting much more personal. This match, Hangman Page versus Isaiah Cassidy, man, this one really, really impressed me. Well, first off the bat, we saw, I don't know if everyone saw BT, which we love watching BT every Monday. It's an outstanding addition to Black the Curtain and further storylines. When Big Money Matt is absolutely gold on BTE, and Hangman has been really doing some great stuff on BTE too with Dark Order. So this is like essentially a battle of the BTE in a way.
Yeah.
But Big Money Matt was trying to recruit TH2, and then that's why they came out with him. I think that would be a great addition to Big Money Matt's client list, and to really showcase TH2 even more. Crayfish is a huge TH2 fan, and I love TH2 as well. So if this is going to get them more screen time, more matches, I'm all for it for sure. This was a strong match, man. They started out hard hitting. They started fighting before Hangman can get his vest off. It was very impressive to me. This was the best I've seen Isaiah as a singles competitor to date. For sure, he is really living up to that heel character. He is, just eating it up. He is selling so great. He has great storytelling. This was an outstanding match overall. It had a lot of time, and it was nonstop, and a lot of things going on. And so, what did you think of the match?
I'm in complete agreement. I think this is a great match. This was probably my second favorite match of the night. It would have been my match of the night if that main event didn't happen. It was great, and we've got so much. Just again, Isaiah Cassidy, like you said it best. He's coming into his own as a heel, and he looks so entertaining. Just it mixes so well. He's good with this persona. He's growing into the character, and you can just tell every week every time he's on TV, he's getting more and more comfortable with how he is. And they're on Dark more often, so you get to see that on there as well. But and on Impact, so you're seeing the growth of a young wrestler. And you're also you can see Paige, who's a bona fide star, and them hang together the whole match. That was that was by the skin of his teeth getting that win. I think
it really was. It could have gone both ways,
especially after Matt got ejected.
Yeah, I mean, on paper, you think, okay, Hangman's gonna take Cassidy for sure, but then as you're seeing the match go and how strong they're both looking, and how physical this match was, and how each of them were selling different injuries, and Cassidy hitting big spots and Hangman hitting big spots. And so it really could have gone both ways. But the momentum is definitely riding high on Hangman's side for sure right now. I think you're seeing more of a smiles out of him. He's not as lost and down in the dumps. And this whole Dark Order on their side in a way is really doing great stuff. And this massive event or match we'll talk about later next week is something I predicted. I tweeted out earlier of how, Dark Order versus Hangman versus essentially Matt Hardy and all his clients with him. It's going to be an awesome 10-man match, but I love this match. It was a great match overall, but the whole segment was an outstanding. I mean, you had Hardy and the mic not really like announcing stuff, how he's going to take out each member of the Dark Order because Hangman, that's their buddy essentially. And you're like, where is he? Where is he? And then you have Five take this massive bump through to the announce table, and wow, that was something. I loved it though.
Yeah, the post match stuff was great. Great stuff. Again, like if we're gonna grade the whole thing as its own thing, it was all an elite. I assume you agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we get to see like you said, we get to see Dark Order, with Hangman against Hardy and all of his clients, and that's going to be awesome because like we're champions of the Dark Order. We really like all of them. They're really entertaining,
absolutely.
And we love Private Party and Hardy and TH2. So this is just going to be a match of a bunch of people we all really like to watch. And,
absolutely.
Well said, and the fact that they're setting this up is just going to be awesome.
For sure. That's well put. I mean, like then the announce team said, a few weeks ago how the Dark Order is now the home team of AEW.
Yep.
And we've been clamoring for more and more of them on TV. And now we're going to see a heck of a lot of them next week. That's for sure. They're announced Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, and Silver and Reynolds are going to be in that tag team battle royal as well at Revolution. So props to them. We did get the honor to interview both Reynolds and Silver one-on-one on our channel. So if you haven't checked that out, make sure you check that out. We had some great conversations with both of them. Great guys. And we started joined Dark Order in January just because we loved we wanted to support them and really push the Dark Order because we believe in them. And I think they deserve it. They're a strong core family team. And especially now that Anna Jay's out, unfortunately for a while, maybe I hope she comes back as maybe just kind of like a manager, even if she is injured in a sling,
right.
At least just showing face or something like that.
Kind of like what Britt did when she was hurt, have her do stuff.
For sure. Absolutely. For that. So I loved that segment and it was very exciting and it really exceeded my expectations. The Hardy and Cassidy match well exceeded my expectations.
Oh yeah, it was a great match.
Leading to that. Next up, we had a quick little promo. It wouldn't be a Dynamite without seeing the champ, Kenny Omega, and Don Callis here, and his gums flap for sure. But it was very powerful and short promo. How Don Callis is like shooing Alex Marvez away and just telling him that they're constructing the Moxley extermination chamber. So this kind of mythological, interesting promos every week, man. Yeah. If Omega's not wrestling, he throws in these different promos. I mean, he was at the classroom, he's on the golf course, he's at the house with the curated water painting, with him and Doug. So I mean, he is definitely the creative. The mind is running at full steam with Kenny Omega right now, and it's fun to see what he's up to next. And this was a good way to really hype up the match, man. It's exciting.
They're building the ring. That's so cool. They're building it, and how does I want to know where Alex Marvez gets his tracker? Like, does he have Kenny on GPS or something? Because he always manages to find him wherever he is. But
that's a good point. That is a good point. Yeah, how is he always find Kenny Omega in these random spots, the golf course, and he's showing up at school and all.
I mean, his house, I can understand that one, but the other stuff. I mean, man, like tonight, he's just looking at some garage. How did you know where he was? And it was really funny though. Obviously, like you get to see Kenny doing he's funny when he's on the mic, and obviously Don Callis is a great mouthpiece as well. So
true professional.
Combining those two, they're great. Again, I feel like AEW is doing such a great job of finding the right pieces for their talent. Team Taz, you see that with Team Taz. You see that with Kenny and Don Callis. You're starting to see that too. You're seeing Sting and Darby is probably going to be the same thing. And so they're finding a lot of, and I think that might happen with Paul White, coming in, Big Show, coming in, and you don't know what he's going to do yet. He's already going to be on their new Dark show, which is going to be pretty cool, but they said he's going to be in the ring as well. So I don't know if he's going to be a singles competitor, but again, he's a guy that's been in the business for 30 years and there's a lot he can add as a manager or as a mouthpiece for somebody. And I think that they're doing a really good job with that, just in general.
Yeah, Crayfish was talking to a few of the fans on Twitter today, and how every single veteran is paired up with essentially a young up and coming talent. I mean, Jake the Snake and Lance Archer, which he's not an upcoming talent; he's established a talent. And we've talked about this on Friday Night Fights and stuff. But we love Jake the Snake, but Archer's at a point of his career where he doesn't need anyone else. Everybody dies, and he's just as massive. But it almost seemed like, I guess we'll talk about that more in depth about, Jake the Snake and Archer, but, MJF and Chris Jericho, Matt Hardy and all his clients right now,
Everybody.
Paul White, where is he going to go, like adding the commentary. But I was reading on the press release, they will, he's not ruling out like an in-ring match. And so does he just kind of have this Big Show solo run or whatever, or does he have some kind of mentor under him in a way? Which, who are some people that right off, I can't even think. Who would you pair up with Big Show with, or excuse me, Paul White? We're going to call him Paul White.
Right. I mean, that's tough.
What up and coming talent do you think would need someone like that? I mean, like Varsity Blondes would benefit like tremendously with someone like that. But who else do you see that would benefit?
Just off the top of my head, I know we give him a lot of props, is Camarado. I think he's a big guy, a big guy that has a lot of, he could be, he's not as tall as Big Show, but he's a very, big guy. And so you have him maybe be a mentee under Big Show. And then you can kind of be like, okay, you legitimize him a little bit with somebody like Paul White. Sorry. So yeah, I think that's a guy that could benefit, but there's more talent as well. Pretty much if you could find any big guy that can move and you can give him to Paul White for him to train or to just go out there with and be intimidating with, you could have some really good stuff with that, because everybody knows who he is. He's been in the business forever, dating back to WCW. He was in WCW as well. So we have, there's a ton of just background for him that you could just have him just really, really enhance somebody.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's like a smaller guy, who is there any? One of our comments said Paul White mentoring Marco Stunt could be funny. I know Marco Stunt was really fanboying out of Paul White, but
that'd be pretty cool, actually. I think that'd be kind of funny.
It's like the smallest and largest combo, Mini-Me and Paul White. But that's something to ponder. I think we should revisit that on Friday Night Fights and Flight. Of like, if Paul White were to take a tag or a mentee type of role, who do you see him pairing with? So I think we'll table that and we'll talk about that on Friday Night Flights of Fights. We'll let that digest a little.
Gives a chance to look over everything as well.
For sure.
Not on top of our heads.
This next segment, or this next match we're going to talk about, really surprised a lot of people. And we are huge DMD fans here on Dynamite Download. And Crayfish is out sick this week, but he would have a lot to say, and I know he will have a lot to say on Friday about DMD losing to Nyla Rose. Yes, Nyla Rose is an ex-champ, but DMD is clearly the face of the division, and we all agree. And I feel like most people on social media agree that she should be leading the charge of this tournament, should be winning this tournament, and ultimately take the belt from Shida to become the face of the women's division. She deserves it. She's a hardworking and would be perfect heel for that belt to really put some more eyes on it, in my opinion. This match, was an outstanding match. This was a hard hitting. This just shows how tough and how strong, and why Nyla Rose was the first, the champ, because she is just, oh my gosh, is she strong. And Britt was selling so great for Nyla as well. And, Tony Schiavone was saying how intelligent and how talented Britt Baker is. And she is, and she deserves every bit of success that she's getting, and even more. And Britt was just so strategic and methodic with her match. It was completely different than what she was when she first Maddie in first round. Granted, that was a last minute switch, but she was so aggressive. She didn't even come out to her entrance. She started beating her up before the bell and was just on almost nonstop offense the whole match, and then finally just put her away. She had to slow it down a little, be a little bit more methodic. I mean, she's dealing with the native beast Nyla Rose. I mean, wow. What'd you think?
Again, like you said, the match was great. It was just we got to see the ring psychology at work, which is really fun when you get to see, like you said last week or earlier in this week, we got to see Britt take on a completely different opponent. And so when you see just the size and strength difference of a Nyla Rose to Britt Baker, you have to see her evolve. And I don't think Nyla Rose really had to evolve for Britt. It was the other way around. And that's when you can tell, like, oh man, this can go either way. As soon as we saw Britt leave the ring and start to like just trash ringside, it was like, okay, this is going to be a really interesting match.
Right. It's going to be a marathon.
She did that right away. And it was like, and after that, it was almost a dominant. It was very dominant from Nyla in a lot of the rest of the match. And Britt kind of gotten in little bits of offense and just would take crazy bumps. And it was really, really entertaining. The end game is really interesting for what we're going to see in the tournament long term. But I think the match itself was a really good one and an elite for me.
It was hands down elite. And I know Crayfish would agree, even though Britt Baker did not come out victorious. I was kind of like one of those like, oh no, why, she didn't, because we all wanted her and want her to succeed and take the gold soon, hopefully. There could be some kind of massive swerve down the line that we don't know, but it's just a reminder how strong Nyla is, how dominant she is. We missed her in the ring.
In so long.
She is so deserving to be in the ring nonstop. It is fun to watch her. Her superplexes were just outstanding, and even Nyla, she's such a good seller too. She goes both ways. Like can just absolutely just go on tear, but also can really sell a match. She's a great storyteller. Britt Baker is a great storyteller. These two surprised me. The announce team did a good job with kind of bringing up a backstory of how they used to be teammates and how Nyla hurt her and she was out for multiple months because of that. And then they're like, oh no, is she going to hurt her again? And so it was a lot of false finishes, a lot of close calls. I really thought Britt Baker was going to come out on top on this one. And where they go from here with her, I think Britt might have a interference or something with Thunder, because clearly we saw in the first round that she's not done with Thunder and Thunder's not done with her. How she really made a statement with Maddie, drawing on her face and calling out Thunder Rosa. So you could have this side feud continue with Thunder and Britt, which would be must see TV. Even though if it doesn't involve any gold or this tournament, that would still be an outstanding part of the women's division and that feud going forward.
Definitely. I agree completely. I think that they've been really selling that feud well, and they've done a good job. And I think that if they can continue that, even without the belt involved, that would be fantastic, because to be completely honest, I feel like they've been one of the most entertaining parts of Dynamite every time they're on. In this feud, they've been one of the most entertaining parts, and just their matches have been great too. So that's one thing I feel like a lot of people are disappointed that they're not going to get to see that part 3 in this tournament, but hopefully they're setting up for in the future. Even if Thunder Rosa wins the tournament itself and comes out on top, we might see that happen as well with Britt. So who knows? I'm curious to see where it goes, and I'm curious to see what happens with Thunder versus Nyla Rose now. That's going to be an interesting match.
Whoa, you think Thunder is going to beat Rio?
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot that hasn't happened yet. My bad.
So I'm throwing up the most recent graphic here of the tournament. Since Britt's out, we all agree we want Thunder to go all the way and ultimately get that sign on the dotted line. I know it is hard to keep track because they're throwing them on different days. We got the next big show on Sunday, but Thunder should go all the way. She should win. A clean loss to Rio, I don't think is in the cards. I think Thunder is probably one of the hottest women in AEW right now in terms of her momentum. So does Britt have kind of an interference, or Reba have some kind of interference? I love Reba being at ringside and getting more involved. She's just this annoying like sidekick to Britt, and she's really adding another level to that. So does Reba get involved again in the match, costing her? Because she costed essentially the match versus DMD at Beach Break. And so who knows where they go with that. That would be interesting booking. That way you have a rematch of Nyla and Rio, which would be kind of intriguing as well. But then again, you have from the U.S. side ex-champions, going at it. So do you want a fresh face?
One.
I think the women's division needs a fresh face. Fresh face. There we go. AEW women's needs a fresh face champion. If Nyla and Rio are in the finals in the U.S., would you have a Japanese contender take the victory, over Shida, or what? It's hard to build a tournament like this and then have Shida defend, in my opinion.
You're setting up so much to have just it kind of stay the same, and unless they're building more storylines through what they're doing, which is what we could see. Right. I think that Britt losing tonight can lead to a lot of things that aren't necessarily tournament involved in the tournament. So we might see some interferences, like you said, and I think that would be really interesting, especially if it leads to somebody winning the whole thing. Who knows? What if she interferes and then the person she helped with interference wins the whole thing, and then who knows? That could completely change the landscape of the division. So there's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts, and I doubt we see everything that's going on behind the scenes.
It's hard to. I mean, it's easy to fantasy book, but it's hard to really you never know until you know. It's what's so fun to watch and tune in every single week. And I think this Sunday's Bleacher Report show is going to be so fun to watch and such a nice addition that they're doing this. But it was a little bit hard to follow, but it is great that they're doing these Monday night shows, and then they're doing the Sunday night one. And then so next week on Dynamite, did they announce when the finals match is going to be? Yeah, next week on Dynamite, right?
Isn't is the finals match at Revolution, or is it on?
The title match is at Revolution. The finals, I believe, is the next Dynamite.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Because then if they do everything on Sunday and then get everything going that makes sense.
Well, they're going to have a Thunder or Rio match, or winner of Thunder and Rio versus Nyla, probably on
schedule again.
Yeah, it's a little hard to follow, but
it's on so many different networks and everything. Yeah, we got to get that down.
Finally, we're getting a lot of buzz and excitement out of the women's division, and that's what's great. It's a win-win across the board for sure. And what else got a lot of buzz? This was a short and sweet but powerful back and forth vignette video package from FTR and Jurassic Express, and how Tully Blanchard is, coming out of retirement, and how he was the engine that made the Horsemen run. He's the workhorse. He's a true professional. And Jurassic Express had a great promo too. And Marco Stunt really, honestly, surprised me when he started spitting fire. How they reawakened the beast, cutting the horns off. And I really liked the back and forth of this. And this match is going to be a lot of fun to watch for sure. And we've really, really enjoyed this feud ever since over the past month or so.
Oh yeah, every time that they're on TV again, this is another one of those golden feuds right now.
Yeah,
we get to right, we got to see Dax, and we got to see Jungle Boy. That match was awesome, and we got to see Jungle Boy's ascension into the next level of superstardom, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And then we got to see the backlash from that. And now I think this vignette kind of encapsulated everything. If you haven't been keeping up, and then it's going to make you want to go back and watch it, because there was so much stuff that's happened over the last few weeks with these two teams and these two stables. And the fact that Tully's getting in the ring is insane and awesome. That's one of the Four Horsemen, one of the most legendary wrestling stables of all time. And that's just going to be so entertaining. And I'm sure that they're going to play that up like crazy, because they should. They really should.
Yeah, absolutely. They should.
It's the same as Sting getting back into the ring, in my opinion. That's as high of as big of a deal. And so I think that this was a really good setup for the match that they're going to have. Again, a great vignette. They really kind of just got everything that happened and put it all into one quick video. They managed to get that, I don't even know how long it was. It felt like it was under 2 minutes. It was very
pretty short, but very powerful.
Definitely. And right, Marco Stunt was great too as well, and he was spitting fire, man. He was fired up. and it was
He was definitely fired up. He cut off Jungle Boy and started spitting fire, and cut off Luchasaurus too. And he didn't get this like little whiny little guy. You got like almost like he's turning into a man, you know, and standing up for his teammates and himself for sure.
Which is awesome. Definitely.
Absolutely. Speaking of all, I don't even know how to describe this, man. The main event tonight was just, you know, I saw Phoenix and Kenny Omega live on January 6th at the New Year's Smash night 1. And I was standing up pretty much the whole time screaming and just in awe of it. And I called it. I was like, this is match of the year and this is Dynamite number 1. And the announcers were clamoring for it and kept saying that like this could have been match of the year for sure. Or at least it's going to be a candidate for sure, in my opinion, match of the year. And it's no surprise that Phoenix was involved in both of those because Ray Phoenix and Lance Archer are two of my favorite in-ring performers in Dynamite and in wrestling today. Lance Archer is outstanding in the ring right now. He is hitting on all cylinders. He is continuing to establish himself as one of the best big men in the business and in AEW. And even, you know, Tony Schiavone said it best that Archer is the best big man of 2021 right now, and Phoenix is the best high flyer of 2021. And how the roster is so diverse, and in every single division, AEW has such a diverse, fun roster to watch. And Tony was sending some great stuff. This match, I need a breather. Talk about it so I could catch my breath. Wow. Whew.
Oh yeah, take some water. I got you for a second. Yeah, this is a great match, man. Words can't do it justice. Go watch it. Just go watch it because it was both guys brought their A game. Lance looked like as strong as ever, and Ray was able to lift him up and throw him and stuff. And like for a high flyer, you know, being able to do that, and just some of the moments of this match were just awesome. And then at the end, I mean, I don't want to skip to the end, but at the end they made up and they're still friends. And it's kind of, they had this early segment in the beginning of the show where they started attacking each other because of, you know, this is a big match that they're going to be in. This ladder match is very important. So, and this was a qualifier match. So this was a big deal. This had stipulations and they went at it, and then they were buddies at the end, and it's awesome. And they put each other through hell this whole match. You know, the flying senton from Archer into the barricade. That was a disgusting spot. And there's too many to name. There was dozens of just awesome, great moments from both of these guys, and they tore the house down. That's the definition of tearing the house down, is what they did. You could just look it up, and it's that match.
I wish you could like pay a premium so there's no picture-in-picture, no commercial breaks, so you can just continue to get the nonstop action like that. You happen with the women's match, and you got this as well. I get the commercial breaks in the prime time in the main event. It's a money thing, but if you could pay for no commercials and no picture-in-picture so you could keep on the edge of your seat the whole time like we were on this one, it would be totally worth it. You know, from the start of this match, Archer's entrance was outstanding. He looked like a total badass, you know, walking or stomping around the ring with his awesome studded vest. The top rope maneuvers by Phoenix are absolutely insane. But Archer countering the top rope maneuvers. First off, Phoenix with the where he's just walking across the top rope and then the kick to the face. And then you have Lance Archer doing the top rope walk and then the backflip onto Phoenix. And then you have Archer standing on the top rope, picking him up to chokeslam him onto, you know, that was another cool thing that we saw. Like, it was just kind of a subtle thing. He's on the rope. He's on the turnbuckles. He picks up Phoenix and sets him on the top rope essentially for a move. I mean, this was outstanding. And then, I'm still lost for words. Phoenix jumping over Jake the Snake and onto
that was a great spot.
Was so amazing. And then let alone all the chops, man. The chop battles between them for sure.
So I'm wearing my red shirt. I'm wearing it in honor of Lance Archer's chest because it was beat red by the end of this one. It was the same color as his hair. It was insane.
His hair and his chest the same color for sure. I mean, Phoenix is one of the better choppers in the business for sure. And you know, Lance was throwing his chops too, then Phoenix was chopping him, and Lance wasn't even budging a second. It was just completely. Oh, I mean, I've taken a few chops. Crayfish has given me chops. We have a chop battle, and no matter how tough or how numb your chest is, it's hard not to budge. And Archer didn't even blink at those chops. It was so great, And then Archer's clothesline to Phoenix on the outside, where he just kind of flipped him inside out, was amazing. This match stole the show for sure.
Yeah.
This was a show-stealing match, a show-stealing moment for both of these guys. And it was great because, I almost wish it would have, the way I would have booked it was like, yes, Archer going over the top and winning, but then Tony Khan or someone coming out being like, Phoenix, you did such a great job. We're adding you to the ladder match anyways, because you deserve it, because of the effort he put in. So I thought that would have been a cool way to book that. But it is nice to have, enemies kind of joining. I mean, they weren't really, they're frenemies joining, just kind of the respect of the code at the end of the match. There was the code, the handshake code, the fist bump code between that. And this match definitely, awesome. I mean, we don't even need to put it up, but we're going to, just out of formality, that this was an absolute elite match of the year. 2 of my match of the year so far was this one, and then the Kenny Omega versus Rey Fenix one-on-one. Man, Phoenix and Archer are putting on an absolute clinic. And the result of this, our top performer of the night, we each get to pick our own, but time and time again, Archer is my top performer. This is 4 of the last 5 weeks. Archer has been my top performer 4 of the last 5 weeks. And it has been fun to watch, and I hope it only continues. I'll take the next 26 weeks of him being my top performer, and I'll be a happy camper for sure.
Yeah.
And I know that, what was really some standout stuff for you that made him your top performer?
I think, honestly, whoever won that match was going to be my top performer.
Yeah.
They both were awesome.
I ran out of time. I was going to put both guys in as mine, but I was like, because they both deserve it.
That's exactly the same. That's how I felt. There was, again, those spots that we mentioned before. We just talked about the match, and it was such a great match from both guys. And I really do want to give Rey Fenix his props here, because if he would have gotten the pinfall win, he would have been my top performer. It was that much. It was that close to where both guys were so awesome, and they both deserve it, because it takes 2 to tango in wrestling, and they just both tore the house down. And Archer he's able to show his agility and size and athleticism in almost everything he does. He's just a top tier wrestler. And part of it's because he's so big, but he's also so athletic, and he's able to just show it in a way every week where your eyes are just like bugging, because it's like, man, how is a guy that's 6'10" able to do this stuff? And again, how is Rey Fenix able to pick him up with his legs and throw him over the top rope? You know what I mean? Like, it's just so much good came out of that main event. And both of these guys are just absolutely top of the line, top tier AEW stars, both of them.
Absolutely. And, we've said it time and time again. And, Archer said it nice in his promo, iron sharpens iron. And, Crayfish and we are big behind iron sharpening iron. And this was a prime example of iron sharpening iron, with Lance Archer, the Murder Hawk, and Rey Fenix going head to head in an absolute battle of the ages for sure. And I'm going to rewatch this match, because it was just that good for sure.
Definitely. I definitely got to get another watching on that one, because
it's hard to top that, with that kind of momentum. Where do you go from there? And then you have next week's card, which it's pretty stacked as it is, and you do have a lot of star power. I mean, the first thing that we're going to see, the first announcement that was made of the night, which we've known for a few weeks, was Shaq and Jade Cargill, versus Cody Rhodes and Red Velvet, there was a little bit of concern of maybe Cody Rhodes being hurt, but we're not seeing anything on the rumor mill or anything online of Cody Rhodes actually being hurt. So that's good news that we're going to see him in the ring. Plus, we'll see him a few days later at the Revolution ladder match. but we're going to finally see Jade Cargill's in-ring debut, and it is extreme. I don't know if there's a or more highly anticipated debut that we're looking forward to here at Dynamite Download, because she's an absolute superstar. She is a superhero, a real-life superhero that we're seeing before our eyes, and I think she's going to go on an absolute tear. She's definitely going to get the pin. She's going to whoop some butt for sure. Help Shaq look strong, but she's going to be the one that we're going to be talking about the next day. That's what I'm going to predict for sure in that match next week.
I agree, man. That's going to be a great match. I can't wait to see that debut for Jade. But another match we get to see, FTR and Tully take on Jurassic Express, and that's one we talked about before. That vignette from tonight was just awesome, and it really got us ready for that match next week. I'm really excited to see. I'm always excited to see Jurassic Express because I think they're really entertaining, and FTR's. Pardon?
I love Jurassic Express as a tag.
Yeah. Oh, they're great. And FTR is, one of the best tag teams in the world. And then adding Tully Blanchard to it, who, again, is a legend. He should be a Hall of Famer everywhere he's been. And it's just going to be an awesome, awesome match. And we might see another ascension. Who knows? That's another thing. We already saw Jungle Boy kind of blow up from this feud. So who knows? We might see something else. I'm really excited to see where they go with it.
Yeah, I think this is a perfect pairing, and it'll be a great storytelling match and fun to watch, and you never know what to expect out of that for sure.
No.
Just like you don't know what to expect out of Chris Jericho and MJF anytime they're on the screen. Anytime they're on the screen, it's absolute gold, from their musical number to all their other promos they've been doing. This should definitely be a highlight of the night. It will not disappoint, that's for sure. If they're behind all this, it's going to be fun. I just can't imagine how much fun they're going to have with the press conference, fielding different questions. We're going to get some funny questions from different wrestlers and different audience members and stuff. I can't wait for that press conference from the Inner Circle.
Oh yeah, that's the press conference is going to be just as fun as the match. I bet that's going to be
for
great.
Sure. Yeah.
And then another match that for two stables that we love, the Dark Order and Matt versus Matt Hardy, Private Party, and TH2. And yeah, there we go. Yep, represent, man. And that one is another match that we're stoked because now we get to see, an expansion of Matt Hardy's reach. We're seeing him get more wrestlers under his control, and facing off against Dark Order, who they're, kind of facing off. They're friends with Hangman, and then you get to see, the opposite end where there's Matt Hardy's clients, and he's kind of getting his influence in there, and we're seeing some bad stuff happening from Private Party. They're heels big time now, and TH2's coming out there and basically being bounty hunters. So we're gonna see some good stuff. And honestly, look at that high flying action out of that side.
Yeah,
Matt Hardy's one of the Hall of Famer, is a high flyer with his brother, and in Private Party, those guys can both go. And TH2, Jack Evans, is one of the best high flyers in AEW, along with Angelico. So there's some real talent on that side, and we're going to see a great match out of both sides, I'm sure.
I loved how the announce team, it made me think of that when you brought up how they were calling TH2 the debt collectors, Matt Hardy's debt collectors. If they can roll with that gimmick, that would be really cool. They're all dressed in black with some neon. They're collecting Matt Hardy's debts and just can be total dirtbags and total real heels doing that. I think that would be actually a pretty compelling storyline with that for TH2. But two up-and-coming stars of AEW with 10 and Max Caster, part of half of the Acclaim. These two guys, the sky is the limit with them, man. I mean, they're getting more and more reps in the ring. They're getting more and more comfortable for that. And I think this is going to be a nice showcase of what AEW's young talent is all about. And I mean, they got a roster stacked full of great people. And 10 is starting to break away. We're seeing a lot of him on Dark pick up some compelling, strong victories. And we're going to see him on Dynamite with the one-on-one versus Max Caster, which also he's doing some great promo work. He's doing some great in-ring work, and should be a fun, young, high-energy match. And I don't really even know who comes out on this. I think you should book 10 as the winner of this personally. But this could go both ways for the winner. I mean, who do you think would come out with 10 versus Max?
It's tough. I like to see Dark Order pick up wins because they had such a tough drought for a while. I like to see them get some wins. And I think that we haven't really gotten to see 10 showcase since the tribute show. And he was in the main event of the tribute show, and we haven't gotten to see that, where Caster had a really awesome performance in the Battle Royale a few weeks ago. So he's kind of had a more recent like big match, big moment. So I'd like to see 10 maybe pick up the win. But either way, I mean, both these guys are young, talented, future stars in the industry. So either way they go with it, it's going to be, I'm sure they're making the right call.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Yeah. Well, that wraps things up for Dynamite Download episode 23 this evening. Stay tuned for all our social media channels here, and make sure you check out our website, AEWDynamiteDownload.com, where you will see himself, Booking by Bonds, Ryan Bonds here, our writer. He's going to be posting up his Dynamite recap very soon. And it goes into great depths. You know, it's a great article you do not want to miss, and it's on AEWDynamiteDownload.com right there. Follow us on Twitter if you're not already on AEW Dynamite DL, and Instagram Dynamite Download, where I always give some show clips and some fun infographics that we create on our channel there. So thank you so much for joining, everyone, and an awesome AEW Dynamite once again. Until next time, everyone.